Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
We welcome you to the streets of Long Beach in beautiful and sunny California for tonight's race in the BiS IndyCar Series. We welcome you in tonight, the IndyCar Championship. This is round number 2 of the season that will take place in Long Beach on the incredible and very interesting street circuit of Long Beach. We welcome you in tonight alongside my partner, Daniel Salmon. Daniel, how are we doing tonight?
Oh, it's going to be an absolutely fantastic night. It's great to have you in the booth as well. First time here. Give a warm welcome to Dylan Connolly there in the booth. I say a warm welcome. He doesn't know what he's in for yet, and I'll be honest, neither do we at this point. This is a debut season for the BiS IndyCar, and it's definitely going to be one that we're looking forward to. This last week they were at the oval circuit. They were at Homestead. This time they're at Long Beach, and as you can see there, Andrew Hardman was your winner. Zach Buchanan, obviously, again, showing great pace. That was the 2023-2024. I'm trying to make sure I get the years right. He was the Radical Cup Canada amateur class leader, I believe, just this weekend. Just weekend gone, he was actually driving that car, so I do want to hear a bit about that later. But yeah, it was definitely a colourful race, you know, a first for a lot of guys. There was some colourful incidents, to say the least, but one thing we did learn is that there was a lot more to turning left than you'd first think. I mean, these guys were adjusting the setup, like just adjusting the car, like in corner, you know, and stuff like that, and picking a different line and stuff like that. I mean, you'd think just, you know, turning left, it'd be pretty simple, but no, there is a lot more to it. But I know in this race, it's going to be another set of challenges for these drivers. They're going to have the push to pass the tyre compounds. There's going to be a lot for them to think about. But currently, as it stands, Andrew Hardman, he is there in the lead. Nick Horvath, he was second with Bryson Chute there in third. Buchanan not quite able to pull it off. He ended up in fourth with Jonathan Wager in fifth. And as you can see there, the rest of the results are on screen. But it's definitely going to be a different set of challenges tonight. Dylan, what would be your take on that?
You know, it's anytime you go from an oval to a street circuit like this, you go to how different those races are. It can be, who knows? So there's multiple different things. You know, you might have guys that are really strong on the ovals, but are not that strong on the road courses. And then the road courses are completely different from the street circuit. So, I mean, there's a whole lot of things that can go here. By the way, our producer, Christian Hill, this evening, I'm filling in for Evan Pasoko. I forgot to mention that earlier, here in Long Beach. So there is a little bit of strategy to this race now as we take a look at the potential Long Beach strategy that we have tonight. We have 2 different kinds of tires. Tell us about these tires, Daniel.
So I was having a little bit of a read about this before we went live on air, and it seems to be that the alternate is definitely the softer compound. It's a bit shorter life, but more grip. You got an extra 1 to 2 seconds a lap well, I say you've got an extra, you're saving an extra 1 to 2 seconds a lap by using that alternate tire. But the thing is as well, this is where the strategy is going to come into play. Now, myself, I'm looking at this. I'm pretty quick off the line. That is where I do my most damage in terms of making an assault on the grid. I think I would want everything going for me as much as possible. I would want to start on the alternate tire and then move into the primary once things have quietened down. But I appreciate that's not for everybody. I mean, some guys are going to be like, you know what, I'm going to be clogged up. I'm probably better off starting on the primary and then switching to the alternate once I've got a bit of clean air. I mean, they've got that to worry about. They've got the push to pass, and then they've also got the fuel to worry about as well.
So a big thing here is you basically have 3 different strategies. As you see here, you might have guys start out on the primary, go probably about a third of the race, and then switch to the alternate soft compound and go the rest of the way. You'll see a lot of guys start on the soft compound, go just past halfway, and then switch to the primary for the rest of the race. Or you might have guys that they might take tires here early on and switch compounds, which you have to do. You have to drive on both compounds in this race. And you might just see guys just take fuel the rest of the race. So there's a strategy abound. So it's going to be fun tonight. So we're going to talk a little bit about how the points have been shaping up so far this year. So you take a look at the Drivers' Championship and the Team Championship. Daniel, tell us what's going on.
So in the Teams Championship, currently Britannia iSports they've got that. I wouldn't say they secured it. I mean, we've only had one event, but they certainly, they've asserted that that step on the top. They've asserted that dominance, damn it, on the top step. Definitely keen to say there. Obviously, we got a Mike Broomhead. He's in there. Obviously, our league organizer and also the F1600 champion as it stands right now. You got Andrew Hardman in there, Jonathan Wager. There's a few guys in there. Evolve Sim Sports as well. Not new to BIS. We got Jerry Haynes in there. Bryson Shoot, he's new to BIS though, and they're having pretty good results so far. They're there in second. Leadpool Racing, a new joiners to BIS as well. There is quite actually a lot of new teams in there, but there is also some more familiar ones: Atomic Racing, Lima Racing, CC Motorsports, Howler Racing, Cartini Racing, Nicard and Bev. They're all BIS regulars, so it is good. It's good to see as well. Obviously, the team championship taking play, but certainly as drivers stand right now, it's right there in front of you. But let's take a quick look at the grid with Mr. Dylan Connolly himself.
So we have tonight's starting grid. There are 2 heat races tonight. There'll be 2 30-minute races. They will invert the top 10 at the completion of the first race. So if you take a look at the starting grid on your screen, Bryson Shoot is on the pole position. Andrew Hardman is alongside him on the front row. Next to him, Ozzie Milwane. Then Zach Buchanan in row number 2. Joey Haynes and Stuart Ross are rounding out the top 6. Assad Nikamabev and Theo Sanave round out the top 8. Matthew Gosh and Ryan Taylor round out the top 10. And Daniel, take us through the rest of the field.
And as we look at 11th place, we got Mr. Nick Horvath, the guy of much karting success, with Michael Broomhead alongside him in 12th. 13th place would be row number 7. Now we've got Spencer Todd with Diego Zuccarelli right alongside him in 14th. So we look at row 8 and 15th. We have Mr. Richard Swindells and Nicholas Calander. Definitely the favorite selfie for the series, I've got to say that. Row number 9, we have Mark McDonald there in the P17 with Robert Covey of Howler Racing alongside him in P18. And row 10, we have Takeshi Kita and Clovis Gerard, the young engineer. As we have a look at row 11, we've got Cedric O'Hyan and John Bemberlid, both for Lima Racing. They are there alongside teammates and regular BIS competitors, with Tori Pushman on row 12 alongside Marlon Jones in P23 and P24, with Hans Selnave in P25 and Eugene Cartini, the F1200 driver and league organizer, in P26.
A very stacked and loaded field here tonight. 26 race cars. All the drivers will get points this evening. They spread out the points from first through the 30th spot, but only 26 cars have made the event tonight as they're beginning to roll off on their one rolling pace lap. Any final thoughts before we go green here? It's a shortened pace lap, so try to make it quick.
I'm going to hope that these guys manage to keep it clean. That's my biggest request. I don't expect them to honor it, and that's okay. It happens. But certainly, it's going to be busy, and it's not the most forgiving of tracks as well. Obviously, being a street circuit, the runoff is pretty much non-existent in most corners.
Yeah, basically the runoff is the inside and outside wall. So they're going to go single file through the hairpin here. But we're going to come down to the front stretch. The field is at the attention of Bryson Schutte as we're ready to get racing here in Long Beach. Going to make their way down this long, curving front straightaway. as we are ready to go racing here in the streets of Long Beach.
And absolute carnage so far, and you can already see they're going to try and tuck in there to single file. Looks like Bryson Shute has managed to get the lead going into the first corner, but how long will he have it, and how many accidents will we see in that first corner? It's looking clean so far. I'm seeing no incidents. This is good. I'm not seeing anybody falling through the timing, and I say that I can see a little bit of a nudge there. There's smoke, and that is a Britannia iSports car in the wall. Is that Broomhead? It is. It's Broomhead. It's the 00.
Oh my goodness.
Oh no.
Michael Broomhead has damage. We have Nick Horvath with big-time front-end damage. That wing is dangling on the front of that vehicle, but Broomhead is stuck in the foliage in front of the fountain. Nick Horvath has wing damage on both ends of the car. Diego Zuccarelli is missing half a wing. There is a large amount of damage throughout this field as Michael Broomhead's heat race is off to a not-so-good start so far, as again, there are no full course yellows here on the road circuit. They have local yellows only, so they'll have to use caution. It's very different than you would see in Formula One and IndyCar in real life, where if there's a local yellow, you have to slow down to a certain pace, but all they have to do is show caution going through there, as Andrew Hardman will come around and lead lap number 1 of this 30-minute heat race event. So again, it's not a certain amount of laps. It is around a 30-minute heat event here this evening, and then we'll move to the second one afterwards.
I believe that is Robert Covey as well, if I'm not mistaken. Or is it Clovis? No, I think that's Clovis Gerard, actually, who's had a little bit of an incident there. I'm looking. Obviously, cars. No, that's Covey's going in the pits as well. I do apologize, as I see an absolute stack of cars coming into the pits. Now, I am having to wonder, do these guys have a fast repair? I've got to try and remember. I'll try and look it up in just a second. Nope, you know what? I was right. Gerard is in the pits. You can see there him. He's keen at the wheel, and I'd say looking at
and
that,
they do have a fast repair. So yes.
If not, that mechanic, I will get him a job tomorrow on the spot.
So yes, the drivers do have a fast repair. They're able to get basically brand new cars, but due to the fact that there are not full course yellows, they are behind the game here in this one. So again, as they round the hairpin at the front of the field, as you have a look at Clovis Gerard up front, Andrew Hardman is pulling away. He's got about a second gap back to Zach Buchanan in that number 40 machine, the Project 2 machine. Zach, a native of Canada, riding around in second place. Then there's a gap. And alongside his Evolve Sim Sports teammate in fourth place, Bryson Shute.
Well, Buchanan and Mulwayne, we both know are talented drivers and both had great success here at BIS, and it's always a good thing to see this kind of thing happen. We're very grateful that Radical Canada was able to give these drivers such a fantastic opportunity, but we'll focus a bit more on that later. As you can see there, Hardman is currently trying to break that gap now. I don't know about yourself there, Dylan, but my Indy experience is a little weak. I'm generally stuck with BIS, but what kind of gap do these guys need to pull to be able to break that draft? I mean, is a second going to do it, or do they need more like 2-3 seconds? Can you maybe give me a little bit?
You know, the only place that I would really think that the draft is going to make a big difference will be on this front stretch. Any high-speed portions of the track, but you'll see a lot of guys that they will make up a lot of time through the more technical parts of the track, like the hairpin that the front of the pack just went through. As you're riding on board with Bryson, as they're coming down this long front straightaway, you'll see teams start to get, or different drivers start to get draft here as they head down the front stretch. Maybe the only other portion would be the back stretch closer to the last hairpin of the racetrack. That hairpin's a tricky one, but I mean, you'll see there's different ways. You might have guys that just have better straight line speed, and then you have guys that they are just really good at the technical parts, so it could just even out as Andrew Hardman's lead is kind of stabilized back to the number 40 of Zach Buchanan for the time being. It's hovered between 8 and 9/10 back between these two guys. Then there's a very modest gap back to Ozzie Milwayne in the top 3. Remember, this top 10 will get inverted for the second race of the evening. It is another 30-minute event. It's going to take about 26 laps to get through this, however.
It is definitely one of my favorite things about the BIS series is that we do have that invert grid in the second race, but it definitely makes it interesting. Obviously a lot to play for. You know, sometimes coming P10 as it sits right now, Richard Swindles would actually be starting on pole for that second race. Now, don't get me wrong, there is a lot that can happen in the next 25 minutes and 21 seconds, but you know what? As I'm looking through the field, I'm going to have a quick peek. Who is the current hard charger? And as I take a look, it's actually Nicholas Calander. He is having an absolutely fantastic race. He's up 9 positions. A few people matching that statistic, but he is the furthest up the field. He is currently in 7th place. Well done, Nicholas Calander.
So not only does every driver in the field, at least tonight, receive at least some semblance of points, they do have a point for the fastest lap of the race, the hardest charger, which is the most positions gained in any certain race. And this can go to multiple people if the numbers do match up. So if one driver, or actually 2 drivers or more, have the same amount of positions gained, then they will get a point. If you lead a lap, you'll have a point. Andrew Hardman's the only one that's earned a point that way. So there are a multitude of different ways that you could earn points this evening as we're approaching the completion of lap number 5 here at Long Beach, as Andrew Hardman's having to deal with some lap traffic up here. Little Nick Horvath and then Diego Zuccarelli, who had to pit to fix some damage in that first lap accident.
It definitely wasn't the race start that they had in mind, but on the flip side, it is kind of good though, where a load of them kind of pitted all together. They'll still have somebody to race with, somebody to contest, and that can be part of the fun. Obviously, different people have different strengths. Myself, I am best if you give me traffic. If you just ask me to run clean lap after lap, the attention span is maybe not as good as it should be. I'm a guy who needs to have somebody to fight, someone to joust with, and that's where my element's at. But it's good that these guys are back out. They've used that fast repair, but the downside is, obviously you've got the delay of having to pit, and it's a little bit too early as well to be able to just go, okay, I'm in the pits, I'll take fuel or change tires. It's just too early for that to be a beneficiary, a viable option at that point.
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole multitude of different options here, but you almost have to use that quick repair, otherwise you're going to go multiple laps down. I mean, even to have a chance to make up some spots. I mean, I know Horvath and Zuccarelli, they're going to go a lap down, but they still have a chance to make up some spots if there's a later accident in this race. As rounding the final hairpin, we are approaching the completion of lap number 6 in this one. It is a 26 lap heat here on the streets of Long Beach, as Hardman it's maintained a consistent gap since the start of the race over Zach Buchanan, as it looks like both of these drivers, I believe they started on the alternate compound here in this one.
Well, I was just actually having a look at my timing screen, and the beautiful thing is it does tell me which compound they're on. It's either red or white, but the problem is I can't tell you which one's soft and which one's alternate at this point.
So the alternative ones are actually on the screen. They're actually green here. So they had changed that recently. So it's just a strange thing that they do at Long Beach. So just taking a look at everyone up here, yeah, Andrew Hardman, Zach Buchanan, everyone is elected to start on the softer compound. Of course, Nick Horvath, all these guys that have pitted for damage, they have elected to change compounds because why not? I mean, they're already behind. So I'm just skimming through the field here. I think the first guy that is on the primary tire is Mark McDonald, and he is currently sitting in 9th position. Here you get a great look of that final hairpin. That's probably one of the slower corners that a lot of these drivers will see in any form of racing. You got to get down close to around 30 miles per hour, if not slower, to get through that hairpin.
Yeah, it can definitely be a bit of a challenge to get some of these high aerodynamically involved cars down to slower speeds, but I understand we've got a replay coming up of a certain Mr. Eugene Cartini. Now, I did see him earlier. He was having a little bit of a battle, and let's see exactly what happened here. As you can see here, he's going down the main straight, and it's gone a little bit wide there. We will find that a little bit of action for you. I got to say, it's a great shot of Long Beach itself. It is one of the most beautiful tracks. So, okay, let's see what's going on here. He's going into turn 1. That's quite a ascent.
Oh, wow.
Too much of a ascent. And, yeah, the late brake maneuver was maybe a little bit too late, doing the Dan Zippy Salmon classic of, 3 cars back. Definitely a keen move, but didn't quite pay off for him. And he is currently sat... he's currently a lap down at this point, so not quite what he had in mind. But as we look on the track, you just see Assad Nikarnabeb, who just went through the foreground of your screen there in like the green, teal, and I'd say white colored car that's just gone by. Yep, the further one ahead, yeah, there you go, the number 23 car. And you can see a couple of people behind him. Now, Nikarnabeb, he is one of the younger drivers. He's currently up 3 positions, qualified quite well, obviously. And that's actually the only guy in the field right now to actually stay where he started. It's Ozzy Milwain. He started 3rd and is currently residing in that 3rd position.
Yeah, Ozzy's done a good job so far. It's been a pretty much business as usual in the top three, basically third and first. Well, actually, third and first inverted, but it's been the same top three for the remainder of the race as we are approaching the 20 minutes remaining mark here in heat number 1. Again, they'll have a second heat. They will invert the top 10. We'll find that out. They'll have a little break in between, but right now it is still Andrew Hardman leading with Zach Buchanan in second place and Ozzie Milwane in the final podium position. And those are all within about a second and a half gap, maybe less than 2 seconds, as we might have a chance to talk to one of our drivers in the race, Mike Broomhead. Let's see if we can get Mike into the channel right here to interview him real quick. So we're standing by with Mike Broomhead. Mike, you had a really tough first set of corners there. Tell us what happened there.
You know what? It's all my fault. I happened to get a job where I sell flowers, and I thought I'd stop and take a look at them. So yeah, so it's not the way I wanted it to go. Obviously, a little bit crazy there, and I got into the back of Shooty when he touched the wall there. So sorry to him for clattering into the back, but maybe next time.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you just want to get a good look at that fountain there. I mean, that is one of the best features of any racetrack on the service, and that you'll see all year. So you just wanted to, appreciate it just a little extra, I believe. As taking a look at a replay on the screen, there were multiple cars involved in that. So as you take a look there, yeah, you were just along for the ride there, but you did end up in the flowers.
Yeah, it smelled very good in there. But yeah, I mean, I didn't want to see it that close, but hopefully Andrew's out front right now, and hopefully he can keep Zach and everybody else behind him. But yeah, he's got some good pace. Hopefully the Britannia can bring one home.
So, of course, that'd be nice if your teammate could bring it home. Of course, you're sitting in pit road. And anything that you might try to do differently in the second race of the evening, which will take place in roughly about 25 minutes or so?
Probably get around the first lap without damage would be nice. I'm going to be started last, so I probably have a bit of space to do that. But yeah, just work through it, see if I can get a good strategy together, and that's what's great about having two races. We can go against them. So.
Hey, brand new start here in just a little bit. So I believe our broadcast partner Daniel, he has a question for you.
I gotta say, Mike, I'd completely forgotten about making all the flower puns, but you have just reminded me. And then not only that, you beat me to it. Now, the flower power was obviously not with you. There was definitely a thorn on that rose. Now, I gotta say, as myself, I'm not much of a gardener, but it's fair to say that instead of driving gloves, are you going to be trading in the marigolds after having the current race success?
Yeah, ultimately, I've been a cooler all day, so maybe I'll be wearing big, thick ones that I can keep my hands warm with. So yeah, a bit meaty on the steering wheel, but yeah, I think I'll trade in for the racing gloves now. To be honest, it didn't go too well.
Well, I gotta say, it's been an absolute pleasure, and I just want to say as well, it's keen to see as well that we've got these guys that have come back into the BIS, and we'll talk very quickly that maybe you can, because you was there this weekend. Could you tell us a little bit about the experience that the guys got driving the Radicals?
Yeah, Ozzie Milwane, Zach Buchanan, the champions from the Radical Cup Winter Series that we had, got to drive an SR3 in real life thanks to Rob Burgess of Radical Canada. He brought a car along to Motorsport Driver Development Track, and the guys got to lap around there. Ozzie got it in the dry, and Zach got it in the wet, really quite wet, and in fact, some good onboard action coming in future shows here. But the guys had a great time. It was good to see them out on track in a real race car. So we'll be doing it again in the winter time, but look for the. I think we're going to throw it in a video in the next round. So catch up with that, check it out, and if you have what it takes, come and join us for the Radical Cup series in winter.
So I mean, any opportunity that you have to drive a real race car is always fun. I might even consider it myself. But I'm a little better behind the microphone and behind the virtual steering wheel. But Mike, we wish you better luck in the second race. We really, really appreciate the time you guys come by to talk to us here after a rough start here in race number 1. But again, the beauty of it, you got another race here shortly. So appreciate the time.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on.
You bet. That was Mike Broomhead. Had a very rough first lap of the race, as I think Daniel has something to say, don't you?
Well, I've got to say, if you wanted to join us over in the Radicals, the good news is we have like an iRating cap on the high end, but I don't believe there is one on the low. Now, I don't believe, I've got no idea what your iRating is. I was not going to pass up that race. It was just too good not to. But as we look at the screen as well, we're seeing a lot of the guys are starting to pit now. Now, the question is, which tires were these guys on, and are they going to have enough to make it till the end? It's only like a 25-minute race, 30-minute race. You know, it's not a long window to go, so you'd think, you know what, how much life can these tires really have? Now, myself, I'd certainly expect to get as much life out of them, even the softer compound, as much as possible. But Mike, Mike, while you're actually in here, can you expand a little bit more about the tire strategy?
Yeah, so either the guys have started on the green tires, the softer tires, and they're trying to go long right now. That's good pace, but they do go off, and they won't make it to the end really. But I mean, there is a tire rule. Some guys started on the hards. I'm not sure how many. Probably people going for a little.
It looked like after the accident sorted itself out, I didn't mean to break in, but oh my goodness me, a big accident right in front of the leaders, just a short straightaway ahead. As couldn't tell who that was, spun around as well. Stuart Ross that spun around, as we'll get back to Mike in just a second. But that was a big event with the leaders charging up on them, as Stuart has it going here in that 67 bright red machine. But I think he might come around and pit just to change tires. But back to our previous point, now that everything's settled down, I think after that first wreck, I believe 9 of the top 10 started on the alternate tire, and only one driver inside even the top 12 was on the primary tire. So of course, you wanted the race to go longer. Which strategy was kind of growing in your head when the race started, Mike?
We were thinking what Andrew's doing right now, which is soft as far as you can go, take care of them. You know, they've got good pace. You just have to keep them within a temperature window. So we're trying to get those as long as you can go, because ultimately the primary, the hard tire, is slower. It's quite a bit slower. It's hard to get the tires in. You kind of want to be on them as short as possible. So I think that's what Andrew's going to do here. He's going to try to stretch as far as he can, take a little bit of fuel in the stop, and hopefully go to the end. I think everybody else around him is doing roughly the same. So we'll see how that goes. That's
about what the plan looks like. But again, Mike, I appreciate the time. We'll let you get ready for race number 2 and enjoy the action here on Podium Esports, as that was Mike Broomhead. We appreciate the time with him, as we have passed the halfway mark here in race number 1. We have about 13 minutes remaining in this 30-minute event, as you see Andrew Hardman navigating the lapped traffic right now, as currently all the way up to 12th position in the race so far has been lapped back to Cedric Ahayan, he's got a pretty hefty gap between him and the leader, Andrew Hardman. So it might be a little bit. They might not even be able to lap him, but so far so good for the top 12. Is a big thing that you just see in races like this when you drive at a street circuit like here, or the Chicago street course, or a few other tracks on the circuit. You have basically, and Daniel, I don't know if you've noticed this too, if you just stay out of trouble, if you don't overdrive any of the corners, if you stay out of the wall, if you don't hit anything, you'll more than likely come out with a good finish. That's kind of, in my experience, what I've seen. But I don't know, you've probably seen more. But would you agree with that sentiment?
Absolutely, 100%. That is generally how any success I had when I drove in BIS. That is for the majority how I did it. That was my biggest absolute gains on the grid were always trying to keep it clean. Don't get me wrong, that strategy did not always work out for me, and it wasn't that the strategy was a problem, it was that the guy driving the car was a problem. I had a few words with him, and he's now in the commentary booth with you, so you can tell how that went. But definitely, you know, it is a huge part of it, and where there is like no runoff, no forgiveness, you know, there's a couple of corners you could send it a bit deep, but
hate to interrupt, but take a look at this as we have our leaders coming down pit road. I think once they saw Andrew Hardman come down pit road, I think Ozzy and Zach Buchanan, they all kind of saw that, hey, we should go down as well. So they're going to come down and probably top off here and, of course, change the sets of tires. I hate to interrupt your point there, but this is a big fulcrum in the race, as we're at 11-11, Make-A-Wish left in the race, Daniel.
Oh, okay. I didn't quite get the Make-A-Wish reference, but
it's a song. It's an American song. So
have you heard I play that game where sometimes we'll see how many songs we can try and get in? I think actually last race with Mike Moss, we tried to see how many aeronautical terms we could get in, and I beat him 25-10.
Wow.
So if you want to play, I'm game. Oh,
we have a big accident.
Gotta hurt.
Big accident near the fountain as someone went off of the racetrack, it looked like. As see if our great producer Christian can pull up a replay of that one. That was a big heart-stopping moment there, as you need to get the nitroglycerin pills for this race, as there's a lot of heart-stopping events going on here. As again, that's what you deal with anytime you have a race like this, when it's very close quarters. You know, it looks real wide like this portion of the racetrack right now, but it gets really tight really quick. I mean, you can't go more than almost, to be too wide almost doesn't work. So let's see if we can get a look at what happened here on the Podium Esports replay. As coming out of pit road, there was not enough room here as he exited and came out. And let's see if that was it. There was a lot of stuff going on. As we're taking a look, there was again a big event here, as we almost had a big accident going into turn number 1. Couldn't tell who that was. That was Andrew Hardman. That was our leader. So I couldn't tell who that was actually. But anyway, that was a big event that happened here so far in the races. We have a new leader, by the way, he has not pitted so far for his second set of tires, Mark McDonald, as he is approaching the front stretch here again, as we're about the 9-minute mark here in heat number 1, or race number 1 this evening, in round 2 of the BiS Sim IndyCar League, as he is going to go through the final hairpin. We'll see if he pits. He won't have but too many more laps to come down and get that second set of tires. But I mean, if you he started on the primaries, so I mean, if you're able to stretch those primaries out, you have a good chance of making up a decent amount of time. Wouldn't you agree, Daniel?
Oh, definitely. He's obviously demonstrating fantastically, you know, that he can manage those tires, and he's going to finish, you know, mentally, he's going to have the advantage that, you know, he's got the good tires in the back. And sometimes having that in your mind, knowing that, you know what, I've got the better tires, it can be such a difference, you know, because you've got more confidence going into the braking zone and stuff like that. And it can be such a big difference. Is this a mystical replay we're looking for?
So here they come. Oh my goodness.
That was close.
Yeah, that was really close. That was surprisingly one of the wider portions of the racetrack. If that was on too many parts of the racetrack, that would have been a big accident. But thankfully, everyone came out of that unscathed. But that was one of those heart-stopping moments that we've had so far. So far, we've had a handful of those. But all in all, it's been a very, very clean race so far, Daniel.
Yeah, definitely. I haven't seen anything which has maybe, you know, questioned the integrity of a driver. It's been very clean, you know. Obviously, there will be racing incidents. That happens. But, you know, certainly I've been impressed with the level of driving as well. Obviously, the oval, you'd expect it to be a little bit more controlled. I see a little bit of wiggle just then. That's a bit more than a wiggle. That is Eugene Cartini in the background, who is missing a rear wing. Thankfully, he's not on the move. Wow, definitely not what he had in mind. The IndyCar appearing to got the better of him, and the 18 car as well. Who's that now? Let's have a quick look. 18.
That is Spencer Todd. So he
yeah.
has a lot of damage on that rear end, but he'll be able to use that quick repair and get back out there.
That is definitely aerodynamically challenged at that point. As we can see here, this is a replay of Eugene Cartini and Spencer Todd having a little bit of a collision.
That looked like just a misjudgment of space there, Daniel.
Yeah, it didn't look dodgy or anything like that. It just seemed like a, you know, whoops.
Well, yeah, we've had a few different accidents here in the later stage of this race. So a lot of guys trying to fight for position, try to get inside that top 10, because, you know, you look at a couple drivers here like Mark McDonald. You know, he waited late, but I think what he was trying to do is he was trying to get a little extra time, because right now he's sitting 9th. Well, if he finishes 9th, he's going to start second in that big race, or in the next race that we have here. Is actually he's moved up to 7th. A couple cars have come down pit road. But, you know, all these guys, you know, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th, you know, they're going to have a pretty good look at the field here in the second race if things hold to form.
Yeah, definitely it would be a good place to sit. Certainly 3rd place on the grid is a good place to go. And he'd have Takeshi Yukita and Ozzy Milwane. And then Richard Swindles. Richard Swindles still in 10th, actually. Good job there. But as I'm looking very quickly as well, the hard charge right now is the 64 car of Takeshi Kita. He is there up 11 spots, which is absolutely fantastic news. But I gotta say, Richard Swindles, he's really impressing me today. You know, he's it's a lot to drive this IndyCar, and I gotta be honest, he's a more seasoned gentleman, as I like to politely phrase it. He's currently rocking 10th position, so well done to you, sir. Fantastic job.
So we actually have another driver that is currently tied for the hard charger, as it is John Bevelid, who is currently up 11 positions. He is up to 11 from his 22nd starting position tonight. So great job to those guys, Takeshi Kita and John Benvalid. Both of those guys currently holding the hard charger, as now they've both gained a position. They had someone come down pit road as we're approaching the 5-minute mark here in race number 1, Daniel.
I do believe as well, John Benvalid, looking at those shades, he must be friends with Tom Cruise, because they definitely look like they would not be out of place in Top Gun.
Or Days of Thunder, whichever you prefer.
Oh, good call.
Which
Well,
Days of Thunder is basically just Top Gun, but with race cars, is
Yeah,
what
I
I've been
know.
told.
I gotta watch that movie.
Yes.
My iRacing team is actually Top Gun Racing. Like, I make no shame about that, you know.
Hey, that's pretty cool name, honestly. But you need to watch Days of Thunder. That's like a
Right.
if you made it's like a rite of passage, but it's on the Mount Rushmore of racing movies. You have that. You have Talladega Nights, which is more. It's not really informational, but it's really funny. But you can appreciate it has real life drivers in it. Six Pack. It's a good movie, but there's a lot of good racing movies. You really need to sit down one weekend, turn on the Netflix, search them up. I mean, they're all really good movies that I've mentioned.
Oh, absolutely. I know when a certain Mr. Clovis Gerard will watch this broadcast, I know that we did have like a little book club going for a little bit. He'll definitely get a giggle out of that reference, but maybe
Clovis Gerard, funny enough, one of the main characters in Talladega Nights is a driver from the Formula One ranks in, of course, that fantasy real world named Jean Girard. So I wonder if Clovis is any relation to Jean Girard.
I certainly, looking at the references that he's got in his profile that Mike is kind enough to compose for us, I'd say he probably isn't, because otherwise I'm sure that would be on there. But Clovis Gerard, we'll talk a little bit more about him while we're on the subject. Now,
he's currently out of the race, by the way. He is going to be finishing in last position this evening.
That's all right. He can only go up from there. You know, it's going to be a positive spin on race 2. How did you do in race 2? Well, I did better than race 1. You know, it can't go further south, but as I try and find it, I'm trying to scroll here. Hang on a second here. Bear with me. Clovis Gerard, real life, he actually works full teams in the F1600, the FEL, Radical Cup Canada, and SPC as well. And he did compete in the BIS F1600 and Radical Championship. So I did want to give him like his 30 seconds of fame there. I know Stuart Ross keeps trying to get back in the interview booth. He's not managed to secure it yet, but I'm going to wish him luck as well on getting there, as he's currently Stuart Ross.
Actually,
he's in 4th. He might actually do that. Come on. You got 2.6 seconds to go, Stuart. Pull your finger out and get on with it, lad.
So I actually take a look at the timing sheet. It is actually Michael Broomhead who is in last position by mere. It is just a technicality because his pit stall is one behind where Clovis Gerard's is. So by that technicality, he is going to be scored behind him, but it doesn't really matter as we're approaching 2.5 minutes to go here right now. You're on board with Stuart Ross, who's had a very solid race. He started in 6th position, currently running in 4th, and when the invert happens, he would start in 6th for the second race of the evening. Again, we mentioned earlier, the top 10 finishers in this race will be inverted and will be sent from, so instead of 1 to 10, it'll go 10 to 1. So stay positioned, stay how they are. Andrew Hardman, our leader, would start 10th in the second race this evening as we're under 2 minutes to go. Anything that you might try to see here at the end of this race, Daniel?
If it was me, I would be doing low risk, high reward. That's what my iRacing mentor, Mr. C.R. Reed, he taught me that. I got to admit, I don't always have that advice at the top of my list of priorities, and I probably should a little bit more often. But certainly, if I'm, especially like John Bemberlin, you know, he's just got to bring it home at this point. You know, he's currently sat in 10th. He's got a 5.8 second gap behind him to Nikardenbev. You know, that 10th position is a very high value right now. If I was at this point in the race, you know what? That's exactly where I'd want to be. 1st, 2nd, you know, Richard Swindle's there in 9th. And actually, Bemberlin right now, he is single-handedly the hard charger with 12 positions gained. Attaboy.
So we're approaching around 60 seconds left in this timed race, this 30-minute race. I believe they will see the white flag this time by as Andrew Hardman is going to make his way through the hairpin for the presumably second to last time. We will see this time by as they will head down the front straightaway on this beautiful Long Beach road course here in California, as he will see the white flag here in heat number 1 tonight of round 2 of BiS IndyCar Championship, as he will dead down into turn 1. It's been a masterful job by Andrew Hardman. He's led a majority of this race. He has turned what was hovering around a 1-second gap the first third of this race. He has turned it into a 6-second gap over Zach Buchanan, and then Theo Sanalve is in third place, 20 seconds behind. So it has really been a dominating performance so far in race number 1 for Andrew Hardman, as they're going to head down the back straightaway for the final time here in race number 1. Andrew Hardman with nothing but blue skies ahead of him in beautiful sunny California in Long Beach, as they're going to go into this right-hander through one of the final technical parts of the racetrack. He will head through the final hairpin here on the white flag lap, and he can see it now. Andrew Hardman will come across the start-finish line and will be your winner here in race number 1 of the evening.
It's definitely a good result for Hardman. Back-to-back wins is definitely a very happy position to be in. Zach Buchanan's going to be coming up behind him when he gets there. He's 6.7 seconds behind. There you go. You can just see him in the background there. He comes in second. Theo Sanave, he's going to be a little while getting there as well. But actually, as I have a look, Theo Sanave, he's under attack from Stuart Ross. Can we get eyes on that? There you go. There's Stuart Ross there in the red car. He is literally run out of track. You can see like Stuart Ross and Joey Hayes. Honestly, another lap, I think they would have got to have a crack at it, and we would have had a freeway battle for that last podium position. But wow, what an ending, guys! What an ending! Generally,
so we still have the top 10 to figure out, because we'll have our pole sitter coming around here in just a few moments. As I would not imagine John Benvalid is going to try to argue for position up here, as coming home in what looks like 9th position, Richard Swindells will finish in 9th, and then our pole sitter for race number 2 of the evening, John Benvalid, will come home in 10th position. He will lead the field to the green flag here in heat number 2 that will take place in just a few moments. I mean, any final thoughts on this race, Daniel, real quick?
I think it was definitely a learning experience for a few guys there. You know, obviously the IndyCar, it's not a slow car. There's a lot of car, you know, there's a lot of engine, there's a lot of aero. You know, this thing is definitely a little bit more than your average grocery getter. And, you know, it's all very good doing practice laps. Once you get in a race environment, you got a lot more to think about. You're not just focusing on the lines, you're not just focusing on the breaking points. But sometimes I find as well, when you have other cars around you, it can be hard to find those reference points. So you really almost need to get it into muscle memory just so you get comfortable, and perhaps even back it off a little bit. And certainly at the start of a race, that can be incredibly difficult.
So they're going to have about a 5-minute warm-up or a 5-minute break in between here. Consider it a halftime break. So we'll take a look at our final results here in BiS IndyCar for race number 1 of the evening of round 2. Andrew Hardman led a majority of the race, dominating fashion. Zach Buchanan was chasing. He was the closest competitor for most of the race, but then the lead got stretched out just enough where Andrew did not see a whole lot of calamity. Theo Sanalve will come home in 3rd. Stuart Ross battled his way back up to 4th. Joey Haynes in 5th. Mark MacDonald in 6th place. Ozzie Milwane finishing in 7th. Takeshi Kita finishing at 8th. Richard Swindells in the 9th position, and leading us to the green flag here in race number 2 shortly, John Benvalid finishing in 10th position. And Daniel, take us through the rest of the field.
So as we have a look there, we got Spencer Todd in 11th, and Nakardon Bev, one of the younger drivers, he's there in 12th, and Nick Horvath behind him. Obviously that lap 1, turn 1, well, turn 1 or 2, depends on how you call it. He got in that incident there with Mike Broomhead. He's there in 13th place. Obviously recovered a little bit better than Mike, poor guy. Diego Zuccarelli in 14th with Nick Colander. He was having such a great race earlier. He's there in 15th. Bryson Shue, obviously we saw things go a little bit south for him earlier. He's there in 16th with Gosh in 17th. Jones in 18th, Robert Covey in 19th, and Cedric O'Hyan of Lima Racing there in 20th. With Salna. Oh, sorry. You
go ahead. You keep reading. I told you you're going to read the rest. So
yes, sir. Salnave there in 21st, with Pushman in 22nd. Eugene Cartini getting a little bit of screen time, just not of the desired variety, I'm afraid, in 23rd. Taylor in 24th. Clovis Gerard, definitely not what he had in mind in 25th, with the F1600 champion, there in 26th place.
So again, they are wrapping up the halftime break here in beautiful Long Beach, California. Do you have any thoughts as we head into this second race of the evening? I mean, there were a lot of drivers that were taking mental notes, but I mean, it seems pretty cut and dry. Just keep it out of the wall, stay out of trouble, and just kind of hope for the best.
Attrition is definitely a way to play it. Now, one thing I've not been able to see come into play too much yet is using team tactics. Don't get me wrong, if you got a car, at the start of a race, team tactics, I don't know how much you could really do it, but certainly if you guys say you're in Discord together, you could definitely, play it tactically. But at the start of a race, you've got enough going on. But certainly there is drivers in this field who I do think have the talent and the ability to do that. The question is, when is the opportunity going to arise? The team championship is one that often gets forgotten about. Obviously we've all got the individual drivers who we're seeing and we're obviously cheering for and stuff like that. But definitely having a teammate can be absolutely crucial in having success.
So you take a look here. Man, you look sharp tonight, Daniel, as we welcome you in here alongside my partner, Daniel Salmon. Man, I didn't get the tie notice tonight, but I mean, you're strapping young lad this evening.
I may look young, but I feel 50. I guess I'm like, maybe I'm secretly an secret agent. Like I'm 140 pounds on the inside, maybe 300 on the inside. I look young on the outside. I feel like 50 on the inside. But I got to say as well, obviously, Mr. Connolly is keenly a sports fan. We've got balls right behind him. I got to ask, what is the guy with the mask behind you? Is that you?
Yeah, that's me. That's a cardboard cutout of myself. So it went to the now I don't know how big it is in England, but the men's basketball Final Four happened in 2020, and they didn't allow fans in, but you're able to buy a cutout that took the place of fans in the seats. So I don't know if they did that for soccer matches or basketball or whatever they have in England. So that's a lot of stuff going on back here. But yeah, I mean, I'm just blown away by your suit here as we're wrapping up. About 40 seconds to go left in this little halftime break here. Drivers getting some last minute notes, but I can't imagine there's not a lot that they wouldn't know already.
Yeah, definitely. Sometimes as well, one of the things that the guys forget is, that, okay, I've just driven the car, it's got warm tires, and it might be on a different compound as well. Often, I admit, I've done qualifying and then I've maybe forgotten to switch setup. At least these guys don't have that issue, but certainly you need to refresh the mindset sometimes. You go, okay, cold tires, I'm on this compound now. It's not going to drive the same as it just did. And often you'll see, certainly in the second race, you'll see like a lap one incident, lap two incident, because all of a sudden, they're like, oh, why didn't it do this? And then the penny drops and it's like, damn it.
Oh, man. So we're going to take a look as we will head back to the racing surface here in beautiful Long Beach, California. We'll see if we can take a look at the starting grid for race number 2. Again, the top 10 were inverted from the finishing position of race number 1. John Benvalid will lead us to the green flag. Richard Swindells alongside him. Takeshi Kita and Ozzie Milwane make out row number 2. Mark McDonald and Joey Haynes make out route number 3. Stuart Ross and Theo Sanalve round out row number 4. Zach Buchanan and Andrew Hartman are top 2 finishers from the first race of the evening. We'll round out row number 5. Daniel, who do we have in the next few rows?
And on the row number 6, we got Spencer Todd there alongside Assad Nikadenbav. Again, one of the younger drivers in the series. Nick Horvath, he is there on P7 in 13th with Diego Zuccarelli alongside him in 14th, the 26 car. Row 8, we have... Where's it gone? Row 8, Nicholas Kalander. That selfie makes me laugh every single time.
Oh, it's amazing.
Well played. With Bryson Shute alongside him on in... Let's just go to row 9. Matthew Gosh in P17 with Marlon Jones alongside him in P18. And row number 10, we've got Robert Covey with the best beard in the series alongside Cedric O'Hayan, the real radical SR3 driver. Fantastic to have him back with us at BIS. And we have a look at row 11, Hans Sarnab in P21 with Tori Pushman alongside him in P22. And I've got a good feeling I know who's coming next. They got Eugene Cartini in P23 with Ryan Taylor alongside in P24. And row 13, final row of the grid, you've got Clovis Gerard and the one and only 00 car of Mike Broomhead.
Yeah, Clovis was not able to make it, so he had real life stuff to deal with. He had some exams. It is finals week across most of the United States and the world in college and schooling across the world. So John Benvalid he has begun to take off for the abbreviated moving pace lap. So they're all going to go, they kind of had a gentleman's agreement. They're going to go single file through the hairpin, but once everyone gets 2 by 2, we will get ready to go racing here on the streets of Long Beach for round number 2, excuse me. Here they come through the final hairpin. They will get their ducks in a row here. John Benvalid will lead the field down to the green flag as we are racing here in race number 2 of the night here from Long Beach.
Well, it's definitely going to be an interesting start to the race. I'm expecting to see Hardman and Buchanan absolutely send it, making as many moves as they can. You can see there, 3 wide, 4 wide. Are they going to make it 5? They definitely thought about it, but definitely backed out of it with such a relief. You can see here, John Benvalid absolutely capitalizing on the opportunity. Now, this is Mike Broomhead's favorite corner. Is he going to make it through clean this time? I certainly hope so, and it looks like a couple of the other drivers have. You can see Assad and Cardenberg making a couple of passes on the inside as well. As I say that, he spins around. Hold the brakes, Assad. Do not move into traffic. Don't you dare move, young man. Stay put. Nobody wants to get hurt.
So he's going to do a donut and turn around there, but he will be last on the racetrack. Rough start for Assad, as he will be in the 25th running position right now, as Michael already has a better start than he has before, as he had to drive around a spun race car. Matthew Gosh is spun around. He's going to see if he can get that turned around. He's got nobody coming for a while, so he will assume last place right now. But up at the front of the field, Ozzie Milwane has made a pass for the lead as John Benvalid, as we have a little bit of activity going on through the hairpin right now, as our pole sitter for tonight, he has been shuffled back many positions right now.
Well, look, which pole sitter do you mean? I see John Benvalid.
Oh, John Benvalid, excuse me. I had my timing screen was incorrect. He's been shuffled back to second position as my timing screen glitched. I apologize for that. Ozzie Milwane has assumed the point right now, as he is maintaining about a 2-second gap back to John Benvalid. Richard Swindells is in pursuit in the 3rd position this evening, as it looks like a lot of guys are kind of staying to that same strategy that they did in the first race. More than likely, actually, yeah, just Ozzie Milwane is on the alternate tires, the primary tires. John Benvalid, Richard Swindells are on the primary. The alternates, Joey Haynes, Mark McDonald on the primary. So different strategies here. So Bryson Chute has crashed. We have a few other cars without a front wing currently, as there was a lot going on that first lap of the race. It was not as eventful as we have a lot of contact. What are you seeing, Daniel?
I'm seeing chaos, panic, and disorder. No, that's Broomhead again. Oh my gosh. I feel sympathetic for the guy. You know what? I feel somewhat sympathetic. Mike Broomhead is the guy who puts a lot of time, a lot of effort into organizing this, and you know, he lets me commentate it as well, for which I'm very grateful. But
oh my goodness, he went for a ride. He catapulted, I can't tell who that was that he catapulted over, but that was an intense moment right here in the races. Thank goodness for the safety devices on these virtual race cars, as that would have been there have been a lot of issues there, as he just had nowhere to go, as he just launched over him. As these Indy cars, are very lightweight, they can take off very easily.
That was definitely the worst game of leapfrog ever.
Yeah, I haven't played leapfrog in probably since elementary school, so I mean, it wasn't a good one.
It's definitely not what I had in mind. Now, I got to say, I do recognize that orange car, but that looks like a traffic cone. I believe that is Nicholas Callender. Let's see, how is he doing right now? He's currently up. Oh, my apologies, Mark McDonald. I felt sure Nicholas Callender had a fun paint job, but Mark McDonald, now, he was one of the guys who did an alternative tire strategy. No, that's right. Nicholas Callender's got the same paint job.
Yeah.
Yes, I love
that look right.
Wrong. So. It doesn't happen very often, but Nicholas Callender, he's currently up 1 position. Mark McDonald obviously sharing the same paint job there. But actually, as I look through the field, the current hard charger would be Zach Buchanan. He's up 4 positions. And you got Robert Kobe. He's also tied for that. He's up 4 positions. And Tori Pushman as well. She's doing quite well, up 4 positions as well. But looking back through the field, the biggest battle on the track right now, I'm going to say it's probably between second and third. We've got John Benvelid in the 11 car for Lima Racing and Joey Hayes in the 52. Now, trying to think, who does Joey Hayes drive for? I've got a feeling it's Evolve Sim Sports. I've got a feeling. I will confirm, though. It is. It's Evolve Sim Sports. Damn it. Attaboy. Getting something right today. Doesn't happen very often, but he's currently there. He is right on the tail of John Benvelid, about 3 tenths in it, and he's going to get an absolutely gorgeous draft off that car in front of him and potentially slingshot and make a move there into turn 1.
So we take a look back at the front of the field as we have 25 minutes left in this second of 2 races this evening, both 30 minutes long. Ozzie Milwane is in a different area code here in the second race. He has about a 6.5-second lead over John Benvelid and then Joey Haynes. But you see one name that was kind of hovering up front that is moving his way through the pack right now, as Zach Buchanan has now moved into the top 5. Andrew Hardman, last race's winner, is in 8th position as well. But it's been a good race so far for Zach Buchanan. It's going to be a good point stay if he's able to tick off a few more positions here.
Well, generally, Zach is pretty consistent, you know. I mean, he did so well in the Radicals for good reason, you know. Like, the guy is quick. He's no doubt. He's quick. We know that. We've seen that. Sometimes, you know, the other traffic, you know, can be a little bit of a hazard for him, but that's the same as anybody, you know. Like, traffic, you know, is a set of circumstances. You're not necessarily, you know, fully, you know, it could have a surprise outcome, you know. You might think it's going to be an easy pass. You might think it's going to be like they're going to go left, they're going to go right, but not necessarily always the case. Now, different drivers, I say this often, different drivers have different strengths, and sometimes when you get a guy behind you who you know is quick, now, some guys will just go, okay, this isn't my race. I mean, we see it in Formula 1, they go, this guy isn't my race, so get out of Verstappen's way, you know. For me, I take the opposite approach. I don't care who you are, what you're driving, you know, if this is the position and it's going to count, I'm going to make this car wider than Beyonce, you know. This thing is going to absolutely make it as difficult for you as possible. Now, I don't know if anybody's really going to put up a fight against Buchanan, but Benvelid, you know, he's a pretty accomplished racer. I don't see him just handing this position over. I think he's going to fight with Buchanan. He is not going to let him have it for free.
You know, it's a big thing. Track position is key. So as you see, Zach Buchanan has moved into the 4th position right now. But Ozzie Milwane's still our leader. But you'll see guys that they're going to try different strategies. They're going to go to the alternate tire, the softer tire, the tire that's going to have a green outline on your screens at home. You'll see a lot of guys switch those because, well, they not only do they have to, but there's a strategy purpose to this. They'll have to come in and get fuel at some point, as we have a driver in the pits.
Hardman.
That is Andrew Hardman.
With damage.
Last race's winner. He's missing a front piece of his wing. We'll see what happened here, as it looks like they're heading into turn 1. As they'll go down the back. He already lost the piece, so we'll see what happened. He might have got, it looks like he might have got into the 64 of Takeshi Kita.
Like, you can see there's a little bit of a nudge there, but he's already missing a bit, and the alignment is definitely off.
Yeah, there was definitely some contact, because Takeshi Kita also has some damage about where that wing would be, as it is just past the fountain section, it looks like. The 6th lap of the race. So we'll see. Yeah, as we also had, it looked like Theo Sonalve coming through here. So yeah, they're coming through the fountain section, so I think it's going to happen here just shortly. There was a lot of bottlenecking over that. I kept that up on my, I just happened to look over, and there was a lot going on there, but we'll see if this is it. But we'll see if we can find that here in just a couple minutes, because there the car almost flipped over. Theo Sonalve got a lot of front end damage, as he's gonna, you know, he's not gonna come down and get it fixed just yet. But we continue on here. Daniel, what are you seeing so far?
So as I look at it, John Benvelid is still holding off Zach Buchanan. I'm pretty proud of him for that, because Zach is definitely not a guy, you know, he's a quick guy. Saying that, John Benvelid as well, he's a pretty decent driver, especially as well. He had decent success in the F1600, but, you know, in a Radical, he's definitely someone to be challenged with. But who's pulling off to the side? They must be lap traffic getting out of the way, I'd say. But I gotta say, I wouldn't have thought Long Beach would be full of passing opportunities, but they are around. You got the front straight, sorry, to try and make that pass. You got some of the wider corners as well. Opportunities are around, and Buchanan's still not managed to make the move, and it's all very good this as well. But I think Mark McDonald in the 216 car is actually closing in on them as well. So soon, Bembelid's going to have 2 cars behind him trying to chase, heading for that 3rd position.
Meanwhile, we check in back at the front of the pack. Ozzie Milwane is in a different area code. He has a lot of lap traffic between him and 2nd place Joey Haynes in the 52 machine. And then Zach Buchanan, who has now moved up into a podium position. Looks to be a big points now, as he's actually moved back down to 4th place as he's fighting for a podium position with John Benvalid. Zach in that Project 2 machine from Canada. As again, he's trying to see if he can get on the podium in both races.
Yeah, definitely good. Let's have a quick look at the replay here now. Who we got? That looks like Zach Buchanan trying to make a move on Benvalid. Looks like he got a little bit too deep, sent it through. Yep, that's Buchanan, all right. The 40 car, the bright yellow one. So obviously, he got a little bit sick of waiting behind Benvalid, sent it, and it didn't quite work out for him. But it looks like he's trying again. Benvalid's gone a little bit wide there, shuts the door down on Mark McDonald, who's like, okay, I'll let one go, but I'm definitely not having two. Now, the drivers were telling me, I was hearing this from Eugene Cartini actually, that to try and get around that last hairpin, like it's hand over hand, that corner is tight and such a slow corner as well. Very challenging to get around there. Probably my least favorite part of this track is just it's so demanding getting around that corner.
We're a third of the way through here in race number 2. It's been a fun night of racing so far. 2 different heat races here in round number 2. Alongside my broadcast partner Daniel Salmon. Oh my goodness! Wow, I was looking. I was multitasking. I was looking at another driver in the field and combined names. So apologize, Daniel Salmon, alongside with our great producer Christian Hill. Glad you're here with us this evening on Podium Esports. We thank you for watching on your smart device, your tablet, your laptop, your projector in your man cave, wherever you may be across the world. We thank you for being here with us.
I also want to thank people for watching us for that. Definitely, it's a win. I know a lot of the people who are racing. I think as I think about it, actually, let's look through the grid. So I believe Stuart Ross, I believe his family tunes in and watches, and Sergeant Carnabev, his dad, I think usually watches as well. That's fantastic. Clovis Gerard, I imagine he's probably going to be watching this tomorrow as well. Richard Swindoors, I know he watches the broadcast. So those guys who do tune in and watch, thank you very much. Obviously, if you got any feedback other than the fact that I sound a little bit nasally today, by all means, send me a message. Let me know. I'm always open to it. Any smart sassy remarks as well will also be humoured, and you will get them back. You guys know me well enough to play the ball for that one. But let us know. We want to know what you think, and we'll want to make sure we deliver you the best show we possibly can. But as we have a look back at the race, you can see Zach Buchanan. He has pulled away about a 1.2 second gap over John Benvalid, who still has Mark McDonald behind him. John Benvalid, he's having a good race today. Mark McDonald and him pretty similar on the iRating side, but iRating in a league race is not necessarily a universal rule of who's going to be faster. And then not only that, I find that iRating can vary very, very much between different cars. So I don't know about yourself, Dylan. Like, what do you usually drive?
I mainly go on the oval side, but oval's probably my strongest suit, but I'll drive, dirt, road, and road, depending on the combination. But, since they split up the road license. You have the sports car and essentially they call it the formula car, but it's mainly your open-wheeled cars. So now there's 2 different licenses and 2 different iRatings for what I think is the correct decision and a good move by iRacing to split up that license class to where it's not just a road license where you might have guys that are really good in the open-wheeled cars but are just awful in the heavier cars, or guys that can drive the touring cars but aren't just too good in the open wheel cars. It was a good move by iRacing in all reality. So I'm glad that they did that. But I've noticed just in a bunch of different races across different leagues and different types of cars that you might have a guy, like, for instance, I'll give you an example. We had a broadcast here on Podium Esports. We had Monday Night Racing back when it was racing. Well, we had actual NASCAR drivers, IndyCar drivers in the race. Well, they might not run official races, which is what your iRating is based off of. But they might just run league races where you have a guy like, give you an example, Corey Heim. You might not know who that name is if you're watching at home, but he's a up-and-coming NASCAR driver. He's going to be a NASCAR champion at some point, in a couple years at least, but his iRating is around the rookie iRating. He's got a D-class license. So iRating is not always the best judge of talent. You know, it's the guys that are going to be good are going to be up front, and the guys that aren't so good are going to be in the middle to the back of the pack.
Well, I can 100% verify that. My iRating is around 2.5k, and honestly, it is definitely a wolf in sheep's clothing. But, well, I say in the inverse. It's kind of like the guy walking in saying that he's a big, hard man, and then having a squeaky voice like he's just sucked on some helium. That's what my iRating is, you know. As I have a look, yeah, okay, that's good. Spencer Todd does have his car back in one piece, but I actually found I found myself that, you know, that sometimes going to a lower participation series actually inflates your iRating. But let's get a little bit more discussion about some of the drivers we got in the field. Here's one of them on the list. Tori Pushman having a little bit of an off there, missing part of the front wing. I believe the only female driver that we have in the series. And you know what? If you're a girl and you want to come racing, absolutely, you know, it is open to everybody. You know, the more people, the better. And definitely great to see. Great to see women getting involved in racing as well, but hopefully can have a little bit more success. Currently up to 14th from 22nd, so that's going pretty good. And potentially, you know, can they make it to a top 10? Now, as I look at the timing, that's definitely going to be on the ambitious side, but, you know, it is, you know, anything can happen in racing. But we've also got Marlon Jones there as well. He's 18th, currently 18th, Leadpool Racing as well. But there is something I do want to focus on a little bit, and that's mainly because I know a little bit more about them. That's Robert Covey. Now, he is in the 72 car, not having the best run this thing, but that gentleman there, he's also a broadcasting commentator. I don't know if you ever had the pleasure of being alongside him in the booth, but very wonderful gentleman. Does Howler Racing, does a little bit of graphics as well.
Mm-hmm. And I've heard of him. I have not worked with him, but I've heard of him, and he does a very fine job.
Yeah, he's absolutely fantastic. He's also, I believe, a race official for another privately organised league. So very knowledgeable racer. It's great to have him on board, as well as being a BIS regular.
As we have just surpassed the halfway mark in race number 2 this evening of round 2 of BIS, the IndyCar Championship. As we're rounding things down here, still Ozzie Milwayne, it's getting closer to a 15-second lead as we have drivers starting to come down pit road. John Benvalid is going to change tire compounds as he's going to come down. As you see on your screen right now, you have Hans Sonave. We haven't talked much about him. What do you know about Hans there, Daniel?
I was just looking him up now. Now, let's see. Real life, he's a Cadillac V Club member. Now, I got to be honest, I have not got the faintest idea what that is. So I'm going to Google that in just a second. But I also understand he is a Flying Husky League driver as well. He is new to the series as well. So let's have a look. What is his Cadillac V? Was it Cadillac V Club? Where's it gone?
Yeah, get that research in. That a boy.
Yep, that's exactly. Oh my gosh, you say attaboy as well. Oh my gosh. So let's see, what is Cadillac V Club? A little bit of information. The website looks fancy, I'll give it that. Okay, this looks like it's basically Cadillacs with huge motors in it. So first thing it tells me is the second gen has a 556 horsepower LSA supercharged V8, goes from 0 to 60 in 3.9 seconds. All right, okay, these guys do not make a slow variety of a car. This is not the grocery getter version, ladies and gentlemen. This is the one that has the, you know, this is the boss's car. You know?
I mean,
so nice.
I mean, you can get groceries in it. You just get them quicker.
Yeah. Well played. Attaboy.
Hey, you know, I try, man. But I mean, you talk about grocery getters. I mean, you could take an Indy car to the grocery store. You would just get to the grocery store faster. There's not much storage space and there's not a lot of trunk room in these cars. But yeah, they don't make a weak car.
Yeah, no, definitely not. Like for me, anything like over 300 horsepower is sporty. You start hitting 400, 500, you're getting a bit more serious. You start hitting above that, you know, money's not a problem at that point. But my car, I'll be honest, somebody told me it was quick the other day and it's like 220 horsepower. I'm like, nah, this isn't quick. It's peppy, but it ain't quick.
So we're approaching, so we have a lot of activity going on as we are now around 2/3 of the way through this second event of the evening. As you see cars starting to come down a pit, and our leader, Ozzy Milvain, is coming down pit road as he has changed out sets of tires. He will come back onto the racetrack in third position behind Diego Zuccarelli and Mark McDonald, who have yet to make their pit stop. Everyone else in the top 10 has made their stop for the evening.
Well, I definitely think Ozzy Milvain is going to be in a good spot. I mean, even after the pit stop, he is there in third. We know McDonald and Zuccarelli haven't pit. He is having an absolutely fantastic race. So our director's telling me he's got 420 horsepower. I thought he drove a Yaris, so I might have to call him out on that one. You know, 420 horsepower. What on earth is he driving? What do you do? Put a couple of leaf blowers in the back and dynoed it at a garden store? Like, what is he driving?
Oh my goodness.
Oh, he says he's got a Mustang, so he doesn't drive it. He just kills into some pedestrians.
Oh my.
I gotta be honest, I would actually enjoy a Mustang. I've been getting the itch, but you know, gas is getting more expensive. I'm not in that bracket, and I'm actually getting rid of cars right now. I don't want more cars. I want less cars. Actually, Dylan, what do you drive? Think careful.
I drive a Toyota RAV4. I've had the same car since I was a junior in high school. I've had it for 12 years now. I mean, it gets you from A to B. So it's got, I think it just passed 200,000 miles on it. So it's a pretty stout little car. We still have Mark McDonald, our leader, by the way. Don't mean to get off topic. Well, actually back on topic here from being off topic, but Mark McDonald still has not pitted, but Ozzy Milvain will assume the lead here in that bright yellow machine. Looks printed like a traffic cone on the front of it. I really like that scheme, and that's part of the Rust Racing duo this evening, as he himself, Mark McDonald, he does race in real life. He has raced karts for over a decade. Since he was a kid, he's lost races to people who have made it to IndyCar, and he says that's really cool. He's a dad in Chicago where he works as an IT consultant, and he has been racing for Rust Racing for a few years now, as he will come down pit road and give up the lead. Ozzy Milvain will assume the lead now, as Joey Haynes will still be in second position after the pit cycle. We'll see how close it is of where Mark McDonald ends up, but right now with 8.5 minutes to go, it is just smooth sailing for Ozzy Milvain.
Yeah, he's definitely in a position of power at this point. You know, it's definitely a good place to be. When you're not got any pressure behind you, you know, you can just relax. He's in a, you know, all he's got to do is just run some clean laps, avoid any lap traffic, and, you know, just basically bring it home. It's definitely a good spot to be in. As I look at Buchanan as well, you know, he's got 3.4 seconds to catch up to Joey Haynes if he wants to make a move. I'm not too sure if Joey Haynes is pit or not. I was just thinking I need to try and figure out a better way of tracking pit stops. But as I look through the timing screen, it looks like Diego Zuccarelli and Spencer Todd, they're getting a little bit close. John Benvalid in there as well. That is 3 cars potentially going to have a little bit of a tussle. I was checking in on Andrew Harbin as well. He's currently back in 15th place, so definitely not going to be a race win for him in the second half of the evening. But you know what? 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
About 7.5 minutes to go in race number 2. It's been a fun evening so far from the streets of Long Beach here in California for round number 2 of the BiS IndyCar Championship. Of course, it seems like it's been an exciting race, but of course no full course yellow, so we have a little more spread out racing, but there's still good battles throughout the field here, as Ozzy Milvain is in an area code of his own, as we are on board. Can't tell who we're on board with. I believe that is Spencer Todd is currently in 6th position, as he's fighting for position now as they go down the front stretch. He's in pursuit of John Benvalid right now, as actually that's a battle for 7th position. I apologize, as he is in full pursuit in that bright neon green. It's chameleon green. It looks like it, you know, it would fit right into the rainforest right now, as this is a good battle right now for 7th position. Again, every position of the field will earn points, so it's just, this is a big difference in points. This is a difference of 3 points right here between 7th and 8th position.
Well, the thing is as well, you know, while it's earlier in the series, you know, you're thinking, okay, risk versus reward, but I find sometimes, you got to push that a little bit harder. And one thing that I find that some people do is they only race, you know, they race the track. Well, you're not only doing that, you got to race the driver as well. Now, myself, I've never been a guy to have outright pace, but I do love where, there's been a guy, and I can only keep up with him when I'm in his draft run, I'm in the tow, but I will ride his bumper within like 2 times, 3 times per second, and I ride it lap after lap after lap, and just try and force them into a mistake. I can remember one endurance race, these guys went and wrecked us out. We fixed the car, came out, and then I timed it so I came out right behind them, and these guys were actually diving off the track because they just didn't want me behind them. I was completely clean, I never touched them. But, intimidation can be another tactic within the racing. And don't get me wrong, you start getting into higher iRating and, more seasoned drivers, it doesn't really do much for them. And definitely if you go a little bit too deep, it gets a little bit awkward. But definitely, it gives us something else to think about, keeps them preoccupied and can potentially cause them to make an unforced error.
So we're approaching 5 minutes left in this final race of the evening as we've been watching this great battle for 7th position. John Benvalid currently in 7th spot. They're about 5 seconds behind the Zuccarelli machine of Diego Zuccarelli in 6th position, but it's still Ozzie Milwain still at the head of the field right now. It was pulled out to about a 17.5 second gap back to Joey Haynes in 2nd position. I mean, Ozzie's done a great job and they had to get around a lap car at a very precarious spot through the hairpin corner there as they both escaped cleanly. As we're approaching in 4.5 minutes to go in this one.
That looks like Diego Zuccarelli is trying to make a move on the 382 car of Nick Horvath. These guys just 4 tenths of a second behind. Obviously, both rocking a red paint scheme, so it's a little bit harder at first to get a gist of who is who. But, they're absolutely going for it. There's only 4 minutes left to go. Now, as I look at the standings, John Beverland, he started on that pole, and like by hard charger standards, he's down 6 positions. It doesn't look good, but you know what? I think he's having a pretty good race. The guys ahead of him are all really quick drivers, and you know what? He wouldn't have given anything away. He's generally been pretty clean and stuff like that. So, it looks like Zuccarelli managed to sneak by him as well, actually. But I don't think that is the end of the battle yet. He's definitely going to keep going, keep plugging. And you can see they're getting very close to the back of Zuccarelli. And the good thing is as well, he's going to be right on the draft for, for that main straight.
You're exactly right, as he's trying to get into the tow behind him, but I don't know how much he has left in the tank there, but it looks like John Benvalid, unless anything crazy happens in the final couple of minutes of this race, looks like he's going to hang on to 7th position. So with about 3.5 minutes to go, it is still Ozzie Milvain, who is he's a full 2 straightaways ahead of Joey Haynes right now, as he's done an excellent job in this race so far. His teammate, Spencer Todd's teammate, as he will round the hairpin. It's essentially, I would say, probably 3 laps to go here in this one. Any closing thoughts as we round out this one, Daniel?
Well, I've been keeping an eye on Zach Buchanan versus Joey Haynes. Now, that gap was originally about 3.3, 3.4 seconds. Well, it's fair to say that Buchanan has absolutely been sending it. That pedal has not really left the full go button. It certainly seems that way because he's closed that gap down to under a second at this point. And I'm going to say he's probably going to be getting a little bit of a draft off the back of the 52 car. As I look at the last lap data, though, I mean, only a 10th of a second in it, so I do wonder if potentially, a bit of lap traffic was getting in the way. But as we look at the closing speed there, he just shaved another 10th off of the 52 of Joey Haynes. I could see this being like a last lap showdown.
Yeah, it should be a good little race right here, as we'll keep it here. Zach Buchanan, he is currently in a fight for that 2nd position, trying to finish 2nd in both ends of the doubleheader this evening, as so far last time by he was a 10th quicker than Joey Haynes, as this is the battle of the race so far, as Ozzie Milwain, unless anything crazy happens, is going to pull off the victory tonight, as they will head into the technical part of the racetrack here for the last couple times, as we have not taken the white flag just yet. It should be pretty close to next time by, but right now Zach Buchanan is on Joey Haynes like a cheap suit right now, as they're approaching 2 laps to go, as they will go down this long front straightaway, Daniel.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that gap has closed down even more, 5 tenths of a second now. Joey Haynes is going to be very, very aware of that bright yellow 40 car right behind him. But again, Joey Haynes is an experienced driver. I definitely don't think he's going to give this position away. This is going to be a tooth and nail fight. As I look back at the rest of the field, it's probably the closest fight we got going on. We've got Cedric O'Hyan and Bryson Chute having a little bit of a battle as well, but that's back in 13th and 14th place. Nicholas Kalanda, Richard Swindles as well, 10th and 11th, having a little bit of a scrap. But I'd say this is the one to watch, the one with the most province at this point, as that gap is again closed down under 0.2 of a second now. Joey Haynes, he goes to wide to defend it. Zachary Buchanan, he's looking to go and send it up the inside. This is definitely not over yet, as he's there trying to catch as much of the draft as possible. Is he going to make a move? He's putting the nose in and thinks better of it. Right on the tail as they're going down into like the penultimate.
Spit it out.
Yep. I'm also communicating in Turkey for those getting ready for Thanksgiving dinner, but you can see that tight hairpin, not quite enough for them to make a pass at this point.
So it should be a fine battle here, as Ozzie Milwayne is still 16 seconds ahead of this battle for the second position. Right now it is smooth sailing here in this one, as we will still keep it with this battle for the second position. See if Zach Buchanan has anything left in the bag to try to get his second position of the night, as they will go down through this this long first straightaway here, as they will head down to this sweeping left-hander, as they will head toward the back straightaway, as it looks like Zach Buchanan is there. He's going to try to make a move on the outside here. They will go into the left-hander. He'll try the crossover move. He wasn't able to make up any ground. He's still a 10th and a half behind Joey Haynes, as he'll have two more opportunities here, as he's there. He's going to break deeper, way deeper. Zach Buchanan's going to make the pass, as they're going to head toward the hairpin for the final time. Ozzie Milwayne is your winner tonight here in race number 2, as the crossover move looks like it may be successful, as they're going to be side by side, wheel to wheel, heading to the start finish line. It will be Joey Haynes coming home in second position, and then Zach Buchanan in third behind them. Rounding out on the hairpin, Mark McDonald's going to come home in fourth position in that traffic cone car, and then Diego Zuccarelli is going to round out our top 5. But our winner tonight here in race number 2, Ozzie Milwayne, who drove an exceptional race tonight, leading pretty much the entire race. It was never a doubt for Ozzie Milwayne here in the second race. An excellent job by him.
Well, we're looking at the closing stages of the battle going on between Richard Swindles in the number 16 car and Nicholas Kalanda. He is in one of the traffic cone cars. You can see there, just trying to make a run on the outside. Not quite got enough. And I got to say, Richard Swindles, well done, sir. Good job there in 10th place. Nicholas Kalanda as well. As I have a look, he was up 4 positions. A hard charge for that race. Diego Zuccarelli up 9 positions. He came 5th. But well done again to Ozzie Milwayne. That is your one of your BiS Radical Cup Canada winners. Luckily enough, he got to drive a real Radical SR3 this weekend. And thank you once again to Mr. Rob Burgess of Radical Canada for doing that.
So Ozzie Milwayne, your winner here in race number 2. He joins Andrew Hardman as the other winner tonight, as he's going to burn it down on the front stretch here in Long Beach. We're going to take a short little break. We're going to talk to our top 3 and Mike Broomhead here in just a couple of moments. This is the BiS IndyCar Championship on Podium Esports.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Back here in the streets of Long Beach, we had an exciting night of racing, and we're going to talk to our winner tonight here in race number 2, as Ozzie Milwayne is going to be brought here into the booth. Ozzie, you did an exceptional job as you're in here in the Podium Esports booth. You did an excellent job. You controlled that race from start to finish, and there was never a doubt. How does that feel?
Yeah, it feels good. I wanted to get to the front as quick as possible, and then just put my head down and try not to make any errors, because errors on this track don't end up well. So, yeah, I wish I had a better result in the first race. I got tangled up with a lap car there. I think I had the pace for at least the top three. But yeah, I'm happy with the end result.
So the first race, you finished in 7th position in race number 1 of the evening. What did you learn in that first race that helped you adapt to the second one?
Well, yeah, the tires, the primaries are a little bit more greasy, but they last a lot longer, obviously. So we didn't really have a strat going into the first race, so it was kind of our test race. But we ended up just sticking with the softs to start with in the second one, and it ended up working out.
So we're here live with Ozzy Milwayne here in the Podium Esports booth. He left no doubt here in this race number 2 tonight, winning by a large margin of 17 seconds. It's very Max Verstappen-esque tonight. Was there anything in the preparation of the race tonight that might have had you worried about Long Beach? Because it was a stark contrast from going from Homestead, Miami to this racetrack tonight.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Long Beach, to be honest with you. I wasn't too worried about it. I did practice quite a bit leading up to this race. But yeah, totally different racing than Homestead, obviously. But I like it all.
So again, here with Ozzy Milwayne here. You have a little real life racing experience that might have helped you here tonight. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I raced karts back in the day from 2005 to 2012 fairly competitively. Used to race against guys like Latifi and Stroll back in that era. And then actually last weekend I got to drive a Radical, um, sponsored by Broomhead and Robert Bridges from Radical, and that was an awesome experience.
So I mean, it's always exciting when you have a chance to race in real life, regardless of whatever it was. But again, our winner tonight here in race number 2, Ozzy Milwayne. Ozzy, before we let you go, is there anyone you want to thank?
Yeah, just all the guys at Evolve. I think we got a good points haul tonight. Joey did a stellar job at the line there. I heard it was a good finish. And then I got Andrew Waring. He's watching, his mom Tracy, and my dad Rob.
Ozzy, we appreciate the time and congratulations tonight on your win here in race number 2 from Long Beach.
Thanks, guys.
That was Ozzy Milwayne. We were happy to talk with our winner tonight, and I think Daniel is standing by with our second place finisher, Joey Haynes. Actually, Zach Buchanan, excuse me, the winner of race number 1. The second place finisher. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I just talked to him.
Okay, let's go with Zach Buchanan. He came third there. Here you go. Are we going Zach or are you going Joe? You know what? We got Zach here now. I'm sorry. I do apologize. Tell you what, it was such a close battle at the end, between Zach, between Joey, that, it really could have gone either way. Now, Zach, do you want to tell us a little bit more about what was going on during the closing stages of that race?
Sure, just to be sure, you can hear me, right?
Yep, I can hear you.
Great. Perfect. Yeah. That was a good race. I think the biggest thing tonight was on that second race. I was on a pretty different strategy from the other guys. I started on the harder tire and had the soft tire at the end. So yeah, I was doing all I could to catch Joey at the end. I had the tire advantage, but he was so much quicker than me out of that last turn tonight. So I tried making my move down the back stretch, and as you can see, he beat me in the last turn. So yeah, it was a good run.
It definitely was a lot of entertainment. We got to watch that live here in the booth. But Zach, I've got to ask, tell us a little bit about what you were up to this week. And I don't mean any partying and stuff like that. I mean, you can tell me that later. But I mean, I understand you got to have a really good experience. And I just wanted to hear a little bit more about it. And wondered if you'd share a little bit for those that are tuning into the stream.
So yeah, thanks to Mike Broomhead, the league, the guy running the league, and Rob Burgess from Radical Canada. Me and Ozzy got the chance to run a few laps in a Radical SR3 over the weekend. That was a really cool time for sure.
Oh, come on, Zach. I want to hear a bit more about it than that. I mean, obviously, we know a bit about the cars, but one thing that I learned this from Swelio, actually, watching some of his videos, is he was telling me about like the G forces and stuff like that. Now, I obviously I know you can sim race. You know, we've seen you do that. We've seen you have great success. I mean, that's how you ended up in that position anyway. But tell us a little bit about going from the sim to the reality, and the different like emotions and like the sensors, and the experience. Like, I mean, it's so much more to take in. Can you try and expand on that a little bit more for me as a man who's actually got to have that opportunity?
Yeah. So I mean, it was interesting. I say that because I got to do my runs in like totally soaked conditions. Like it was raining all afternoon. Conveniently, we did just have the rain update in iRacing, so it helped me hone my skills. But yeah, like the first run I did, like the nerves were high and stuff. I was afraid. I've never been on a track with other cars before, let alone in something as quick as a radical. But like after like two turns on the track, like I was surprised with how comfortable I felt and how much it felt like in the sim. Of course, I didn't get to feel the G forces quite as much because I was like coasting through puddles and stuff, but it came really naturally to me, and that was a really cool thing to feel.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have Zach Buchanan here. If anybody would like to hire him as a driver, you could message him or you could message me. I'm only going to take a modest 25% cut. I think
Yeah, yeah.
Dylan was offering
Looking for
30.
sponsors, big time.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that is your third place finisher. Could have been second. It was pretty close. Zach Buchanan. Is there anybody else you want to thank before we get on the talking to Joey?
Yeah, sure. Thanks again to Mike and Rob for the experience this weekend, and thanks to Ozzy, Andrew, Joey, and John for the great racing tonight. It was a lot of fun. I think we made the best out of a pretty tricky track tonight. So thanks, guys.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was your third place finisher, Mr. Zach Buchanan. Now, I understand, Dylan, you've been catching up with Joey Haynes.
As we're alongside our second place finisher in the second race tonight, Joey Haynes, Canada's finest, a member of Evolve Sim Sports. Joey, you finished second in the second race, and you finished fifth in the first race of the evening. It sounds like you just had an all-around good night, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, you can't complain when you get a couple top fives at Long Beach. It's a tricky track and a lot of chaos. So just getting out of there with good finishes, I'm happy.
So, of course, this is a very technical track. Was there anything that you were just kind of worried about coming into this, or did you think you had an advantage here? I mean, it's a very stark contrast, as we've talked about with a few of our other drivers, that, you go from a track like Homestead, which is, pretty flat out. You're kind of controlling the air. You're moving around different lanes of the racetrack. Then you come here and it feels like you're racing in a phone booth.
I don't think I'd say any advantages or anything like that. Just kind of tried to put in my practice time, make sure I was consistent, keep it off the walls. I mean, I had that little spin in race one, which to be honest, I think I could have been on the podium in that race if I didn't do that. So, I mean, it's the biggest thing is just minimize the mistakes in Long Beach. And if you do that, you're in for a good result.
Absolutely. Again, this is a very technical track. So, tell us what your strategy was. Of course, the big thing is you had to change sets of tires. You had to go from either the primary to the alternates or the alternates to the primary. Was there any set rhyme or reason that you did that for both races?
Yeah, I figured if I'm starting up front, you're better to be on that soft compound tire first, try and pull a bit of a gap, have the clean air as much as possible, and just keep pushing and putting good, clean, consistent laps. Try not to get too much lap traffic taking you up, and then get onto the hards at the end. And I honestly found the car actually handled a bit better on the primary compound tire. It had a little bit less wheel hop through the corners, so then it was just about kind of keeping it smooth and consistent to the end and holding Zach off there in the second race.
Now, that was an exciting battle to the finish. You go to that last lap and you start to hear the Jaws theme music going on behind you. That big yellow car was getting bigger and bigger in your mirror. I mean, did you have a plan in that last lap, or were you just taking it punch by punch like a boxer?
I mean, I'd saved up push to pass to make sure that I could kind of defend on the straightaways there, but I didn't really realize until he actually got by me there heading into one of the turns that he was on the Waiuli soft compound. So then I kind of at that point, honestly, I thought it was kind of over, and I was like, okay, third. And then he locked it up just a little bit into the final hairpin, and I saw the gap and just stuck it in there. And fortunately, with the primary compound, they were still gripping, and I managed to come back home and bring home P2 for the team, and a nice 1-2 to kick off the road course season.
An excellent start of the road course season. Of course, 2 top 5s tonight. You can't ask for much better. Joey, before we let you go, is there anyone that you want to thank or shout out?
Just all the guys at Evolve. We all work really hard trying to make sure we have good consistent pace, and just everyone's on about the same level. Obviously our sponsors, TNT, Tranco, Joe's Pokestop, and BIS for putting on a great championship, and of course Podium for a great broadcast as well.
Well, we appreciate that, and we appreciate you. Without great drivers and great racers like you, we wouldn't have great broadcasts now, would we?
I mean, it's just great to have someone putting these races on for us and making sure that we can get them out there for the people. So thank you guys. Appreciate it.
So Joey Haynes, our second place finisher. We appreciate the time and have a good rest of your day. We'll see you next week at Mosport.
See you then.
So that was Joey Haynes, our second place finisher. And I believe Daniel is standing alongside Mike Broomhead, who had a little bit of a rough night as Mike has been brought into the broadcast booth. Daniel standing by with him.
Well, Mike, definitely not the race you had in mind, but you know what? Let's talk a little bit more. We'll skip your racing success and not success on this point. Let's talk to you more on the league organizer role, and obviously that was the first time BIS had done IndyCars at a road track. Now, how do you feel it went in comparison to the oval? Maybe you want to shed a little bit of light on that.
Yeah, for me, absolutely terribly. But I guess in general, I think it was fairly good. Obviously, Long Beach is a bit of a mess when it comes to the walls being right there and margin for error and racing side by side and that sort of thing. So a few more issues, obviously at Long Beach, but then it's kind of like that anyway. Usually a bit of a crash fest, if you will. But overall, I think the racing was pretty good from what I saw. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be the tightest one on the calendar, so we're going to go to a few more open tracks, road courses themselves, a bit more traditional after a while, and big open super speedways. So it should be okay from here on in.
It did look like you guys had a bit of a gentleman's agreement as well on the pace lap to just go single file through the hairpin. Is this one of the kind of things that you expressed in the driver's briefing?
Yeah, I think a lot of people, especially with these cars, have trouble getting around that hairpin side by side, and it happens in real life as well. So we just wanted to get as many people onto the front stretch as possible. I was starting last in the second race, and I was still going around the hairpin when it went green. So it wasn't perfect. We could have maybe bunched up the field just a little bit more, but I think everybody did a pretty good job with that.
Well, I'm definitely looking forward to Mosport next, but we're going to talk about that in a few more minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Mr. Michael Broomhead. He is one of the organisers, and despite that, I'm going to now huff him out of the booth. Thank you very much, Mike. Oh, God. I don't know how he puts up with me some days, but yeah, next event, I mean, I'm looking forward to it, but we should probably get on to the results first before we get too excited about the next event.
So
Mr.
here
Connolly,
are
what have you done?
here are tonight's results from race number 2 of the BIS IndyCar Championship. It's actually round number 2, but race 2 of the evening. It is Ozzie Milwane coming out on top. Started in 4th and comes out on top. His teammate Joey Haynes finishing in 2nd position. Zach Buchanan, a pair of top 5s tonight. He'll finish in 3rd. Mark McDonald, a very solid night, finishing in 6th and 4th tonight, 4th in the second race. Diego Zuccarelli finishing in 5th. Nick Horvath coming home in P number 6. John Benvalid in P number 7. Spencer Todd in P8. Theo Sinalve in P number 9. And rounding out the top 10, Richard Swindells, as we'll send it over to Daniel for the rest of the field, it looks like.
Well, Nicholas Calander, he had a pretty good day. He got there in 11th in the number 8 car. Takesha Kida in 12th, with Bryson Schute in 13th, with Cedric O'Hyan for Lima Racing right. Assad, I expected a little bit more from you tonight. Obviously, attrition, is a big part of it. I think perhaps, a little bit the cold tires is what caught you off on that one. So I'm looking forward to seeing a bit better result from you at the next round. Not that commentators have favorites or anything, but I'm rooting for you, young man. Come on. get on with it. Andrew Hartman, definitely not the second race he was hoping for. Certainly 2 race wins and then down to 16th place for this one. Stuart Ross there in 17th with Pushman. Let's have a look. Tory Pushman, sorry, in 18th with teammate Marlon Jones alongside in 19th with Robert Covey in 20th. I believe he was having a couple of brake issues earlier. Ryan Taylor, I think he had a little bit of a tangle there with Mike Broomhead. That's the one that Mike tried to leapfrog. That's in 21st. Sorry, he's in 21st. Eugene Cartini in 22nd. The one and only Mr. Mike Broomhead, the 00 car, in 23rd. With where they gone? Matthew Gosh in 24th. Sal Nav in 25th. And Clovis Gerard, he did not start. He had real life commitments there. So a little bit disappointing there. Definitely not the night he had in mind. Hopefully we'll see a better result from him next round. But honestly, Dylan, it's been an absolute pleasure having you in the booth. I mean, hopefully we'll get you again. But, sad part is these guys are going to be stuck with me. But Motorsport next round, I mean, is this a track that you've driven much in the sim? Can you tell us a little bit about it?
It's a real technical track. I haven't driven it a whole lot, but I know it used to host a lot of NASCAR races, and those were always usually really exciting, at least in the truck series. But it's a very interesting, windy track. There's a lot of space all around the track. It should be a good-looking race next week. Of course, you'll have Evan Pasoko back. He is under the weather tonight, so he's battling a little bit of a stuffy nose, a little cold tonight. I think his Vegas Golden Knights are also playing tonight. So not that has anything to do with that he might have caught the Golden Knight flu, but hopefully they're doing well. I believe they're playing the Stars. Don't know a score, but I'm sure he's tuning into this and that. But we appreciate the guys giving me the call, and I stepped in. And Daniel, you took the reins. We did a great job tonight, but it was an all-around great race tonight. I enjoyed both races. It was about what I thought. The first lap or two of both races was going to be very hectic. A lot of just calamity. And once everything kind of got sorted out, since there's no full course yellows, it was just, make sure you don't hit anything after that.
Yeah, I was definitely glad that we didn't have full course yellows for that, because I could have seen it, really putting like a slowdown on the race. But just on the off chance anybody is watching, it's currently 3-2 to the Dallas Stars against the Vegas Knights. But sorry, spoiler, I'm not a big hockey guy, but actually on the subject of hockey, my boss is a Leafs fan, and as a British guy, obviously we don't have hockey. And I said to him, if I can find a lady who's a Leaf fan, then I'll find a wife, because basically if she will back someone who is that much of a loser for that long, then she is 100% going to put up with me. Like you're like facepalming the mic at this point. But let's get more onto Mosport now. It's actually one of the BIS favorite tracks. We call it our home track. He's still laughing. Sorry, buddy.
No, it's all good.
It's definitely one of our favorite tracks, and I'm really looking forward to seeing the IndyCar go around there. Just as you head into Moss Corner there, just before you get to it, as you head around that left-hander and down the hill, there is that little bit of a dip there. I do wonder if the IndyCar is going to have a couple of issues with ground clearance. Hopefully they address that in the setup. I think that's going to be colourful. I do also think that the draft is going to play an even bigger part of the race as well. I think it's going to be a lot harder for guys to actually kind of break away. And I think as a result, we're going to get more hot, live, potentially colourful track battles going on during the race.
So again, they will head north of the border for their first trip out of the United States next week, as they have had a race in Florida and a race in California. They will head to Mosport for another pair of sprint races. And then the big one coming up here in a couple of weeks, the Indy 500 practice qualifying, pole days and everything. It is May, so that is a big time in the racing world, especially around the end of the month. But again, it's going to be an exciting time next week when they head to Mosport. And then the schedule is looking like a lot of fun.
Well, I'm just going to give a very quick mention as well. So if you thought this looked like a lot of fun, you're right, it is. And if you want to be part of the action, you know what? Why not come and join us? There is the QR code. Now, this thing works by all sorts of magic I don't fully understand, but I understand if you take your phone and you basically go into your camera. I'm actually trying it now. Like, not that it makes a big difference. Oh, would you look at that? It actually links you straight into the Discord. That is fantastic that works. Not just that, we made it work, but, that the technology can do that. So, yeah, you can literally scan that code. It will send you there into the Discord and, come on out, do a few laps. You'll see the schedule. Any questions, obviously, ask in the chat. We'll be happy to help you. But you know what? Come on by, join us. We don't just do the Indy cars. We also, coming up in the back in the fall and winter season, we do have the F1600s, and we have the Radical Cup Canada Series as well. So plenty to look out for. Definitely come on, get involved, and we'd certainly enjoy getting to interview you if you have some good race success.
Yeah, come on out and join the fun. As yeah, of course, the QR code, as we're about ready to wrap this one up here. Daniel, any final thoughts before we wrap this up from Long Beach?
Well, it was definitely a good race. I do think a few of the drivers definitely forgetting about the cold tires and different compounds and stuff like that. It's very easily done, and sometimes you just got to reset yourself as you get back into the car, as you get back into the sim, and I think as well. The IndyCar, it's still new to BIS. Obviously the car's been on the service for a while. I mean, it may have had a slight vacation where it was not necessarily called that per se, but that's okay. Things happen, but I'm looking forward to motorsport. I think a lot of the guys are going to be sufficiently stronger there. It's BIS's home track, in other words. We drive there frequently. And I'm looking forward as well to see how the tire compound, not only the drivers, but also the commentator staff here as well. We're learning a little bit more about these cars, about, the typical behaviors and stuff like that. And, there's a lot of different strategy involved. So, there's still a lot to play for. And also as well, I'm looking forward to the updated points. Obviously, some guys had a really good haul today. So it'd be interesting to see how that's had an effect, especially on the team championship as well.
Yeah, of course. So, I mean, again, it was an exciting race all around. So, again, the next race will be at Mosport at north of the border. You can catch that on May the 8th. Evan Pasoko will be back alongside my partner, Daniel Salmon. Appreciate the time, man. So, there's a good look at it. Can't wait to be there next week. Should be an exciting pair of races there. So, that's going to do it for our coverage tonight from Long Beach, California, the beautiful streets of Long Beach. On behalf of my broadcast partner, Daniel Salmon, our producer tonight, our amazing producer, Christian Hill, cameras provided by Dougie Beard. I am your leader tonight, Dylan Conley, wishing you a good rest of your evening. We will see you at Mosport next week.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.